My name is Peyton Hayes, and today I will be teaching you 4 basics of the flute. 4 things we're going to be going over today are how to assemble the flute, parts of the flute, creating an embouchure and aperture, and hopefully producing your first sound. So, first thing we want to do is take our flute case. I've got a Yamaha flute case. We're going to set it on the floor with the hinges facing away or the opening facing towards you. The reason we place it on the floor is when you're handling your flute and you take the parts out, if you're handling it on your lap or anything, God forbid, you could drop it and you destroy that flute. A very delicate instrument, very expensive as well. So we have the case on the floor. What we want to do is open it gently, and then we're going to take out piece by piece. First piece we're going to grab today is going to be called the head joint. It should look something like this. Now, head joint is one word, and all of this together is the head joint, but it does have its own parts. We have the crown, the embouchure or lip plate. We will refer to it as the lip plate. The embouchure hole, and then down here, we'll get to this later when we talk about another part of the flute. So, this here is going to be combined to the body of the flute, which we're going to grab right now. When you grab the body of the flute, you want to make sure you're grabbing it by the tenon. This is the tenon, also referred to as the barrel. It is a barrel-like object, and this is what is going to combine the bottom part of your head joint to the body. So when you do this, be very delicate, and you don't want to just shove it in. You kind of want to twist it down, and then you want to get it to about 1/8 of an inch. No, sorry, about, yes, at 1/8 of an inch, and you want to make sure that, sorry, I seem to have not lined this up very well. You want to make sure that, okay, that's better. That if you have a marking, like some of these student model flutes, that is lined up, or the embouchure hole, as you can see, is lined up with the keys. So, when you're handling this on its own, you want to hold it by the tenon. That is the most secure place to hold it. So we're going to grab the next part of the flute and combine it. This next part is called the foot joint. It is all one encompassing term and one word. This is different than putting the body onto the head joint, because you don't want to line the keys up to the keys. You want to line up this rod to the keys. Place that in, and this one, unlike the head joint, is to be flush, right? And the reason this isn't flush is because it will cause the flute to be sharp, and you don't want that. It's already a problem enough. So this is your flute all combined. See if I can get it all in frame. You can see I'm handling it by the tenon, right? So next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring the flute up to our face. And the way we do that is you want to, if you can see this bottom part of my lip, right here, where my pink meets my Caucasian skin color. You know, you can refer to it as colors, or you can refer to it as lip meets flesh. So there should be a little groove there. What you want to do when you're holding this flute, and you can do this on the head joint as well, just the head joint, is you want to place it where that part of your lip meets that very point on the embouchure hole. You want to be straight ahead. Now, what we do as flautists to produce a sound is you want to start with the word poo. And the reason we say poo is because it starts you blowing air with your lips together. Poo, poo, right? Let's go over some terms. So the embouchure is how you mold your face, or how you do your face while playing a wind instrument. The aperture is the hole the air exits out of while you're playing a wind instrument. So if I'm playing flute, this is the embouchure, that is the aperture, right? So what you want to do is you want to make kind of a pout, not too big. You don't want to be frowning on your flute. When you place your lip there, straight ahead, you want to make sure that your bottom lip, you squash it out to where you're covering about 1/3 of that embouchure hole. If you don't do this, you'll have a lot of trouble making noise. So we'll practice a little bit here. When you're holding this, and you start with that word poo, you're blowing not directly across and not directly into, sort of diagonally down, a mix of the two. Right? And if you want to play higher notes, you just move that jaw forward. It's really simple. Right? And I'm not sure if we discussed this, but the reason you want to start with poo, is because if you start blowing with your lips together, your aperture would be much smaller. If you start with your lips apart, the aperture is going to be too large to make a good sound on the flute. Now, so you've mastered, hopefully, making your first noise on the flute. And for all you not perfect pitch musicians out there, that is a thumb B flat, very important note on the flute. What you want to do to put it up is grab it by the tenon again and just disassemble it in exactly the same manner as you assembled it. And if you remember, our case is on the floor. Now, I neglected to mention this earlier, but the case will actually be underneath your chair. The reason it's underneath your chair is because your instructor, or you as the instructor, will be walking around the class making sure your students are doing swell and you don't want to trip on a flute case, right? Another thing, if you might have mentioned, the seat I'm sitting on does not have a back. That's actually beneficial because you don't want your flautist to be leaning back, slouching. You know, you have a lot of middle schoolers that'll do that. Or when they get in that playing position, they'll rest on that seat back. So it's good to practice either on a seat without a back or on the hump of a normal school chair, right? When we're taking this apart, you want to be very careful, like I said. Just putting this back in piece by piece. Okay, when you have it all assembled or disassembled and put in the case, you want to close the case, and now you can handle it. Another tip is when you're carrying this flute case, carry it with the opening side to your body. That way, God forbid, again, it opens, you'll open against your body, and hopefully you save your flute. So this was So You Want to Teach Flute, Crash Course 101 for Basics. Thank you.